Good morning, students. So, in the previous class, we discussed regarding the preparation methods of aliphatic aldehydes and ketones. Now, in today's class, we'll discuss regarding the preparation methods of aromatic aldehydes and ketones. Okay, let's see that the first one is Itard's reaction. Right. So Itard's reaction. So this is an important named reaction. Preparation of aromatic aldehyde using Itard's reaction. See when toluene is nothing but methyl benzene CH3. So from methyl benzene we are going to prepare benzaldehyde. So when toluene is allowed to react with chromyl chloride, what is chromyl chloride? CrO2Cl2. CrO2Cl2 is known as chromyl chloride in carbon disulfide. In CH2. So in the medium carbon disulfide, so first addition of chromyl chloride to toluene takes place. Then we can get a chromium complex. A chromium complex is formed by the addition of chromyl chloride to toluene in carbon disulfide. Then here what you will get is CH OCrOH Cl2 and one more OCrOH Cl2. Just addition of this chromyl chloride to toluene takes place and we will get a complex. And this complex undergo hydrolysis. So this on hydrolysis, these two bonds will break. Here one hydrogen, here one hydrogen will be added. At this carbon, oxygen atom will be added. In the two valences, one oxygen is added here. Here one hydrogen will be added. Means what we get is CrOH taken twice Cl2 plus C6H5CHO. Benzaldehyde will be formed. This is known as benzaldehyde. So benzaldehyde will be formed as the product, and this reaction is known as Itard's reaction. So toluene, nothing but methyl benzene. So methyl benzene react with the chromyl chloride in carbon disulfide and forms a chromium complex. And this chromium complex undergo hydrolysis to give a benzaldehyde. This reaction is known as Itard's reaction. Right. Now, let us see one more example. One more method from the same toluene. Right. Nothing but the oxidation of toluene by CH3CO taken twice acetic anhydride in the presence of chromium oxide CrO3. So oxidation of toluene with acetic anhydride and CrO3 chromium 6 oxide. So this nascent oxygen combines with this and then this will be added here. Then what you will get here is here the oxidation of toluene takes place and we can get CH OCOCH3 OCOCH3. This is so oxidation of toluene with acetic anhydride and chromium 6 oxide gives benzylidene diacetate or simply benzylidene acetate. A geminal diacetate will be formed. Say CH3COO, this is acetate. Two acetate groups are present on the same carbon. So this is a geminal diacetate. So this is named as benzylidene. Benzylidene diacetate, or simply you can write benzylidene acetate. And this benzylidene diacetate undergo hydrolysis, nothing but here H3O plus H2. This benzylidene diacetate undergo hydrolysis. So when this undergo hydrolysis, at this O H plus, this is CH3COO minus, CH3CO minus. Hydrogen, two hydrogen atoms are added here, then we can get 2 moles of acetic acid, CH3COOH, CH3COOH, and oxygen will be added here. Means here we will get 1 mole of benzaldehyde plus 2 moles of acetic acid, CH3COOH. So this is the second preparation method of aromatic aldehyde from methyl benzene. See once again. Oxidation of toluene with acetic anhydride in the presence of chromium 6 oxide gives a diacetate, means a geminal diacetate, which is known as benzylidene diacetate. And this benzylidene diacetate undergo hydrolysis. Then this bond and this bond will be cleaved. Here hydrogen, and here oxygen will be added. Then you can get benzaldehyde plus acetic acid. So this is the second preparation method of benzaldehyde from toluene. Right. Now we will go for one more method, third one. Same from toluene only. So this third one is nothing but a side chain halogenation. Side chain halogenation followed by hydrolysis. So in this toluene is allowed to react with the chlorine in the presence of sunlight. So that was side chain halogenation. See here benzene ring undergo electrophilic substitution, whereas this alkyl group undergo free radical substitution. So side chain, that is a halogenation of this alkyl group in the presence of sunlight, gives a geminal dihalide. That means 2 hydrogen atoms of methyl group are replaced by 2 chlorine atoms. A geminal dihalide will be formed. Okay, this is benzylidene chloride, C6H5CH Cl2. This is a benzylidene. Benzylidene chloride or dichloride or benzol dichloride. Benzylidene dichloride or benzol dichloride you can write. Benzol chloride. Now, so this is side chain halogenation, and this geminal dihalide on hydrolysis with aqueous NaOH, then it reacts with 2 moles of aqueous NaOH and 2 Cl minus are replaced by 2 OH groups with elimination of minus 2 NaCl. So this reacts with 2 moles of NaOH with elimination of 2 NaCl. That means Cl minus replaced by OH minus. Then you can get C6H5 CHOH taken twice. But on the same carbon, if two or more OH groups are there, the compound is unstable due to steric hindrance. Now, from these two OH groups, a water molecule get eliminated spontaneously and gives a benzaldehyde, CHO. This is, see once again, methyl benzene, nothing but toluene. So toluene on side halogenation with chlorine in the presence of sunlight, side chain halogenation takes place. Substitution cannot take place in the ring. Here, this in the presence of sunlight, chlorine undergo free radical substitution. So side chain halogenation takes place by free radical mechanism and gives benzoyl chloride. And this on hydrolysis in alkaline medium, that is in the presence of NaOH, 2Cl minus are replaced by 2OH minus. But on the same carbon, if two or more OH groups are there, it is unstable and loses a water molecule due to steric hindrance and gives benzaldehyde. So another preparation method of benzaldehyde from toluene. Okay, right. This is a third preparation method. So from methyl benzene we can produce benzaldehyde in three different ways. These are, so addition of chroma electrode in carbon disulfide followed by hydrolysis, that is first one. Second one is oxidation of toluene with acetic anhydride and CrO3 gives benzoyl diestate, which on hydrolysis gives benzaldehyde. Third one is side chain halogenation followed by hydrolysis in alkaline medium gives benzaldehyde. So by these three methods we can produce benzaldehyde from toluene. Okay. Next, the fourth preparation method. Gattermann-Koch reaction. This is also an important named reaction asked 2-3 times in previous exam. Preparation of benzaldehyde from Gattermann-Koch reaction. Let's see here. So here we will produce benzaldehyde from benzene. Okay. So this benzene on reaction with a mixture of CO plus HCl, carbon monoxide and hydrochloric acid in the presence of CuCl, cuprous chloride by AlCl3. In the presence of cuprous chloride and AlCl3, this carbon monoxide and HCl react with the benzene. So what will happen here is, first this carbon monoxide combines with HCl and forms a complex, and that will attack the benzene ring and electrophilic substitution takes place. Through a sequence of steps, we can get finally benzaldehyde as the product here. So for this reaction, mechanism is there, not included in our syllabus. What the process is, in the presence of this catalyst, first this forms a complex and that complex attacks the benzene ring, and then by a sequence of steps we can get benzaldehyde. Just simply we will write in a single step. Benzaldehyde react with the mixture of carbon monoxide and HCl in the presence of cuprous chloride and anhydrous AlCl3 and forms a benzaldehyde. This reaction is known as Gattermann-Koch reaction. And while representing this equation, compulsory should mention the catalyst what we are using here. Cuprous chloride, HAlCl3. Otherwise, you won't get marks here. Okay. So this reaction is known as Gattermann-Koch reaction. So this is preparation of benzaldehyde from benzene by reacting with the mixture of carbon monoxide and HCl in the presence of the catalyst cuprous chloride and AlCl3. Okay. Mixture will be used here, CuCl3 comma AlCl3, both are used here, not by. Okay. All right. So these are the four preparation methods for the preparation of aromatic aldehydes. Okay. Now let us see how to prepare aromatic ketones. Just one method is there. There is nothing but Friedel-Crafts acylation. Right, now see here. So regarding Friedel-Crafts acylation, already you have studied in earlier classes. There is in the first PUC benzene chapter. There is hydrocarbons. Now, so Friedel-Crafts acylation. This is nothing but so this acylating agent, nothing but acyl chloride in the presence of Lewis acid we use as a catalyst, which is nothing but when benzene is allowed to react with acid chlorides or COCl. This is acid means a chloride derivative of acid, carboxylic acid, so known as acid chloride, in the presence of a Lewis acid, that is nothing but AlCl3 or BCl3 or FeCl3. So in the presence of a Lewis acid, benzene react with acid chloride and gives a ketone or COR. Okay, this is general equation. Now let us take an example here. If a benzene is allowed to react with acetyl chloride CH3COCl, if benzene is allowed to react with acetyl chloride in the presence of AlCl3, Lewis acid as catalyst. Okay, first this AlCl3 interact with this and produces the electrophile CH3CO plus, and that electrophile CH3CO plus can attack the benzene ring and replaces H plus. Then we can get C6H5COCH3, and the replaced H plus and remaining Cl minus combine to form HCl, and this compound is named as acetophenone. Acetophenone. Okay, right. So this is the another preparation method for aromatic ketones, right. Okay, so by these methods we can produce aromatic aldehydes and aromatic ketones. Let's see one more preparation method I'll explain here, which is not there in our textbook, but they're asking questions in objective examination based on this. Nothing but from calcium salts of carboxylic acids. So you can also produce aldehydes by the dry distillation of calcium salts of carboxylic acid. See, HCOOH, which is nothing but formic acid, and if you take the calcium salt of this formic acid, the two hydrogens are replaced by Ca plus 2. This is simply we can write as HCOO taken twice Ca, named as calcium formate. Okay, so calcium formate. Now, so here plus one more mole I'll take here, CaOO COH. Now from this 2 moles of CaCO3 get eliminates here. See now. Like this. 2 moles of CaCO3 get eliminates. Then H and CHO gives HCHO plus 1 more mole of HCHO. Nothing but a formaldehyde will be formed. Okay. So distillation of calcium formate alone. This is calcium formate. Distillation of calcium formate alone gives formaldehyde. Okay. Now, instead of calcium formate, if you take the calcium salt of any other carboxylic acid other than formic acid, now see what is the word formed here? RCOO, RCOO, Ca. Right. Now, this is nothing but just will represent like this: RCO taken twice Ca, nothing but calcium carboxylate. Any calcium means calcium salt of any carboxylic acid other than formic acid, nothing but calcium carboxylate. And this calcium carboxylate on dry distillation, see here also, right, then RCOR, RCOR, again 1 mole of RCOR. So ketone will be formed. So distillation of calcium salt of carboxylic acid alone gives ketone. Calcium formate gives formaldehyde. Now, if you take the mixture of calcium formate and calcium carboxylate, we can get aldehydes. See here, HCO, Ca, calcium formate plus calcium carboxylate. Now here what you will get? Same here also. Eliminate 2 moles of CaCO3, then you can get HCOR, nothing but RCHO. Here RCHO means 2 moles of aldehyde will be formed. RCHO plus RCHO, nothing but aldehyde will be formed as the product. Okay, so overall, distillation of calcium formate gives formaldehyde. Distillation of calcium salt of carboxylic acid other than calcium formate, if you take any other salt of carboxylic acid, that gives ketone. If you take the mixture of calcium formate and calcium carboxylate, then we can get 2 moles of aldehyde. Okay, right. Suppose instead of taking a calcium salt of carboxylate of one particular carboxylic acid, if you have taken the mixture of carboxylic acid, suppose here R and R is there, if I take R dash and R dash, then here R dash, here R dash. Not only this product, along with this, you can get 2 more products also. So one product is possible with RCOR, one product is possible with RCOR dash, and one more product possible is R dash COR dash. So if you have taken the mixture of calcium salts of 2 different carboxylic acids, then instead of getting a single product as ketone, we can get the mixture of 3 ketones. Okay, so calcium formate on distillation gives formaldehyde. Other than calcium salt of formic acid. If you take any other carboxylic acid, now here I will replace R with CH3. R I am replacing with CH3. Now what is the name of this compound? This is a calcium acetate. This is nothing but calcium acetate. So distillation of calcium acetate gives what you will get here now, 2 moles of CH3COCH3 plus CH3COCH3. So we can get 2 moles of acetone. So distillation of calcium acetate gives acetone, like that. And now here also if replace R with a CH3, let us see here now. This is calcium formate and calcium acetate. So distillation of the mixture of calcium formate and calcium acetate can give 2 moles of acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde will be formed. Acetaldehyde will be formed as the product. Okay. So the final conclusion here is distillation of calcium formate gives formaldehyde. Other than formic acid, if you take the calcium salt of any other carboxylic acid and that on distillation gives ketone, a symmetrical ketone will be formed. If you have taken the mixture of calcium formate and calcium carboxylate, then we can get aldehyde. Means other than formaldehyde, remaining aldehydes will be formed here. Okay, as the major product. Now here, in addition to this, there is a chance of forming formaldehyde as well as acetone also in small amounts. For example, instead of these two, only 2 molecules of this undergo distillation, then you can get formaldehyde. Only 2 molecules of this compound undergo distillation, then you can get acetone. 1 molecule formate and 1 molecule acetate, then you can get acetaldehyde. Okay, acetaldehyde will be formed as the major product. In addition to acetaldehyde, in small amounts, formaldehyde as well as acetone also will be formed. Okay, right. This is regarding preparation of aldehydes and ketones by the distillation of calcium salts of carboxylic acid. Right. So this is total regarding the preparation methods of aldehydes and ketones. Right. Now we'll go for properties of aldehydes and ketones. First we'll discuss regarding physical properties. Right. So regarding physical properties of aldehydes and ketones. Right. Then first one, physical state. So what is the physical state of aldehydes? See, if you take HCHO, formaldehyde, formaldehyde is a gas, whereas other aldehydes are liquids. So among aldehydes, formaldehyde exists as a gas, even it can be condensed to liquid, whereas other aldehydes exist as liquids. Now, in ketones, lower members of ketones So lower members of ketones are liquids, whereas the higher members of ketones are solids. This is regarding physical state. Formaldehyde exists as a gas, whereas other aldehydes exist as liquids. Among ketones, the lower members of ketones exist as liquids, whereas higher members of ketones exist as solids. This is about physical state of aldehydes and ketones. Now, solubility. So what about solubility of aldehydes and ketones? So both aldehydes and ketones, that is the lower members of aldehydes and ketones both. So lower members of both aldehydes and ketones are soluble in water. Due to, what is the reason? Why the lower members of aldehydes and ketones are soluble in water is because these lower members have the tendency to form a hydrogen bonding with water. Due to hydrogen bonding with water molecules. See, the lower members of aldehydes and ketones are soluble in water. This is because the lower members of aldehydes and ketones have the tendency to form hydrogen bonds with water. That's why they are soluble in water. Next, one more point here. As the number of carbon atoms increases, solubility decreases. So either among aldehydes or among ketones. Among aldehydes and ketones, as the number of carbon atoms increases, the solubility of both aldehydes as well as ketones in water decreases. Why the solubility decreases with increasing number of carbon atoms? As the number of carbon atoms increases, the tendency to form the hydrogen bond decreases. Since the tendency to form the hydrogen bond decreases, the solubility of aldehydes and ketones also decreases. Right. This is regarding the solubility. Whereas these compounds are readily soluble in organic solvents like carbon disulfide, carbon tetrachloride, like that, benzene. So lower members of aldehydes and ketones are soluble in water due to the formation of hydrogen bonds, and as the number of carbon atoms increases, the solubility decreases due to the decrease in the tendency to form hydrogen bonds. Whereas these compounds are readily soluble in organic solvents. Next, boiling points. Okay, right. Now, if you are compare the boiling points of aldehydes and ketones, the boiling point of ketone is greater than aldehyde with the same number of carbon atoms with similar molecular mass. Means among isomeric aldehydes and ketones, the boiling point of ketone is more than aldehydes. The reason is the dipole moment mu. Dipole moment of ketone is greater than dipole moment of aldehyde. As you know, in polar compounds, boiling points depends on dipole moments. So dipole moment of ketone is more than compared to the dipole moment of aldehydes. Hence, the ketone possesses a high boiling points. Next. So here also, as number of carbon atoms increases, that is both in aldehydes as well as in ketones, the boiling points increases. The boiling point increases as the number of carbon atoms increases in both aldehydes as well as in ketones. Now, see, if you have compared the isomeric if you have compared the boiling point of aldehydes and ketones with the compounds having nearly similar molecular mass like hydrocarbons, ethers, carboxylic acids and alcohols, then the order of boiling point is, here, hydrocarbon is less than, ether is less than, aldehyde is less than, ketone is less than, alcohol is less than, carboxylic acids. Alcohol is less than carboxylic acids. Here I'll give you an example here. CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. This is a hydrocarbon. Okay, and one more compound, ether, CH3O, CH2, CH3, and I will take an aldehyde, CH3, CH2, CHO, an alcohol, CH3, CH2, CH2OH, a carboxylic acid, CH3, CH2, COOH. Just a minute. CH3COOH. All right, now let us see. So if you compare, these compounds are having a 1, 2, 3, 60, just a minute. Yeah, suppose CH2. Right. So if you compare the boiling points of these compounds which are having nearly similar molecular mass, then the order of boiling points is 1 less than, 2 less than, 3 less than, 4 less than, 5. Just what I wrote here. With a similar molecular mass, nearly, not exactly, with nearly similar molecular mass, if you have compared the boiling points of compounds, the boiling point of hydrocarbon is less than, ether is less than, aldehyde is less than, alcohol which is less than carboxylic acid. Just a minute. This is CH3COH only. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Yes. CH3COH, nearly similar molecular mass. So like this. So this is regarding order of boiling points. See once again. The boiling point of aldehydes and ketones is more than the boiling points of hydrocarbons and ethers with nearly similar molecular mass, but less than the boiling points of alcohols and carboxylic acids with nearly similar molecular mass. Why? Because, so than compared to hydrocarbons and ethers, the dipole-dipole interactions in aldehydes and ketones is more. That's why the boiling point of aldehydes and ketones is more than the corresponding hydrocarbons and ethers with similar molecular mass. Whereas the boiling point of aldehydes and ketones is less than alcohols and carboxylic acids. The reason is, in alcohols and carboxylic acid, there is a tendency to form hydrogen bond. whereas that hydrogen bonding does not exist in aldehydes and ketones. So due to the formation of hydrogen bonds, these alcohols and carboxylic acids possess high boiling points, whereas aldehydes and ketones possess less boiling points. So this is regarding the physical properties of aldehydes and ketones. See once again in brief. The first one is physical state. Formaldehyde is a gas, whereas other aldehydes are liquids. Lower members of ketones are liquids, whereas higher members are solids. Next, solubility. Lower members of aldehydes and ketones are soluble in water due to the formation of hydrogen bonding with water, whereas the higher members are insoluble due to the tendency to form hydrogen bond decreases. And as the number of carbons increases, solubility decreases due to the decrease in the tendency to form hydrogen bonds. Boiling points. So among isomeric aldehydes and ketones, the boiling point of ketone is more than aldehydes because dipole moment is more for ketones than aldehydes. Now, as the number of carbons increases, boiling points increases. The boiling point of aldehydes and ketones are more than hydrocarbons and ethers, but less than alcohols and carboxylic acid with nearly similar molecular masses. Okay. This is regarding the physical properties of aldehydes and ketones. Right. Now let us see here. The next one is the structure of carbonyl group. The carbonyl group is present commonly in both aldehydes and ketones. Let us see what is the structure of carbonyl group. Right. Structure of carbonyl group. C double bond. See in this carbonyl group, the central carbon atom undergo sp2 hybridization. The carbonyl carbon undergo sp2 hybridization and forms 3 bonds. See here. So this is a sigma bond, this is a sigma bond, and this is a sigma bond. It forms 3 sigma bonds. Okay, let's remove this by one first. So a carbon consists of 4 valence electrons. Out of the 4 valence electrons, 3 valence electrons undergo sp2 hybridization, and the 4th orbital remains same, which is unhybridized. This oxygen also contains 2 orbitals which consists of unpaired electrons. Out of that, 1 p orbital of oxygen overlap with sp2 hybrid orbital of carbon and forms a sigma bond. Like that, the carbonyl carbon atom undergo sp2 hybridization and forms 3 sigma bonds. Here this is R and this may be either H or R, anyone. Forms 3 sigma bonds. And now the unhybridized p orbitals of a carbon as well as oxygen overlap perpendicular to the plane of the carbonyl group. Now the geometry of this carbonyl carbon is nothing but trigonal planar. Carbonyl carbon is having a trigonal planar geometry. Okay, and the remaining unhybridized p orbitals of carbon atom and oxygen atom overlaps above the plane and below the plane. That means here and here, like this. Above the plane of carbonyl group, this carbon, oxygen and these are present in a plane perpendicular to the plane, that is above the plane and below the plane. So these two overlap here, these two overlap here. Above and below the plane of carbonyl group, the electron cloud is distributed. As a result, a pi bond will be formed between carbon and oxygen. Simply we can represent like this. C double bond O. This is a planar molecule. And now here the bond angle is how much? Here bond angle will be 120 degrees. So due to sp2 hybridization, the bond angle is approximately 120 degrees. So this is regarding a structure of carbonyl group. Once again, in carbonyl compounds, that is both in aldehydes as well as in ketones, the carbonyl carbon undergo sp2 hybridization by leaving one pure p orbital. Out of 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals, so one orbital overlap with the p orbital of oxygen and forms a sigma bond. The remaining 2 sp2 orbitals with overlap with the carbon atom of alkyl group or hydrogen atom and forms 3 sigma bonds. Now, the carbonyl carbon as well as oxygen both contains one unhybridized p orbitals which contains unpaired electron. Now these two orbitals overlaps sidewise perpendicular to the plane, that is above the plane and below the plane. So this is the electron cloud above the plane, this is the electron cloud below the plane and forms a pi bond. Since it undergoes sp2 hybridization, the shape is trigonal planar. Okay, this is regarding the structure of carbonyl group. Now, so in aldehydes and ketones, the carbonyl carbon undergo sp2 hybridization and the geometry is trigonal planar. Okay. Reactivity, this is an important one. Reactivity of carbonyl group, means what type of reactions are shown by the carbonyl compounds, that is both aldehydes and ketones. Now let us see. So if you take a carbonyl group C double bond O, among carbon and oxygen, oxygen atom is more electronegative. So it attracts the sigma electrons of CO bond partially towards it. As a result, it undergoes partial negative charge and carbon acquires partial positive charge. Okay, now this partially positively charged carbon can be attacked easily by a nucleophile. A nucleophile can attack this partially positively charged carbon. Means these carbonyl compounds mainly undergo nucleophilic addition. So it gives a nucleophilic addition reaction. Okay, right. So carbonyl compound, there is both aldehydes and ketones undergo nucleophilic addition reactions. Okay. Now, among aldehydes and ketones, which is more reactive towards nucleophilic addition? Or if you have compared 2 or more aldehydes or 2 or more ketones, among those which is more reactive, how to identify? See, the nucleophilic addition reactivity means reactivity towards nucleophilic addition mainly depends on the partial positive charge present on the carbon. If the extent of partial positive charge on this carbon is more, the nucleophile can attack easily. Okay, so the reactivity of aldehydes and ketones towards nucleophilic addition mainly depends on the partial positive charge present on the carbonyl carbon. Next, one more factor is here alkyl, either H or R. Okay, and one more factor that can decide the reactivity of this carbonyl group is nothing but steric hindrance. So what about steric hindrance? If steric hindrance is more, the reactivity of this carbonyl compound towards nucleophilic attack is difficult. Okay, so two factors are there. One is the extent of partial positive charge and one more is steric hindrance. So the extent of partial positive charge depends on electron releasing effect, that is inductive effect. So here the factors that can affect reactivity of carbonyl group towards nucleophilic addition depends on, the first one is inductive effect. So inductive effect of the alkyl group, there is electron releasing tendency of alkyl group. The second factor is steric hindrance. So these are the two factors which can decide the reactivity of aldehydes and ketones. Now, with respect to inductive effect, we'll discuss now first. If you take aldehyde and ketone, RCHO aldehyde and ketone is RCOR. Among aldehyde and ketone, which is more reactive, first we'll decide. Later we'll compare aldehydes and ketones individually. Now here, in case of aldehyde, only one alkyl group is there. One alkyl group shows a plus I effect. Whereas in case of ketone, two alkyl groups are there. Means electron releasing groups are more in ketone than compared with aldehyde. So partial negative, partial positive here. Here partial negative, here partial positive. As the plus I effect of alkyl group increases, the extent of positive charge decreases. As extent of positive charge decreases, reactivity towards nucleophilic attack also decreases. That means here, among these two compounds, the extent of positive charge on carbonyl carbon is more in case of aldehydes than compared to ketones. That's why aldehydes are more reactive than ketones towards nucleophilic addition. See, in carbonyl compounds, the carbon acts as electrophilic center. That means it will be attacked by nucleophile. Oxygen can act as nucleophilic center. That means it will be attacked by electrophile. Carbon attacked by nucleophile, oxygen attacked by electrophile. So in this, first nucleophilic addition takes place. So the reactivity of aldehydes and ketones mainly depends on the extent of positive charge. By two factors we can explain this. Inductive effect. Aldehydes contains only one electron releasing group, whereas ketones contains two electron releasing groups. Since electron releasing effect is more in ketones, the extent of positive charge is less. Since extent of positive charge is less on carbonyl carbon, the nucleophilic attack is difficult here as compared to aldehydes. So among aldehydes and ketones, aldehydes are more reactive than ketones in terms of inductive effect. Now let us see steric hindrance. Okay, what is meant by steric hindrance? Say in aldehydes, the carbonyl carbon, say like this, R and here H is there. In ketones, here R Here also R. Now, if you compare here only one alkyl group is there, here two alkyl groups are there. Now, the nucleophile can attack here easily because bulkiness is less. Here large groups are less. Here two large alkyl groups are there. So here nucleophile cannot attack this carbon easily. It is difficult. So in aldehydes only one alkyl group is there, whereas in ketones two alkyl groups are present on carbonyl carbon. That means two bulky groups are present on carbon. That means this carbonyl carbon is hindered by these alkyl groups. That is what is known as steric hindrance. Means the bulkiness of the groups attached to this carbon is more in case of ketones. So the nucleophilic attack becomes difficult. Since nucleophilic attack becomes difficult, the reactivity of ketones is less than compared to aldehydes. So with respect to steric hindrance also, the reactivity of aldehydes is more than reactivity of ketones. See once again, the first factor is inductive effect. Aldehyde contains only one alkyl group which can show plus I effect, whereas ketones contains two alkyl groups which can show plus I effect. As electron releasing effect increases, the extent of positive charge on carbonyl carbon decreases. As the positive charge on carbonyl carbon decreases, the reactivity of carbonyl carbon also decreases. Means in terms of inductive effect, the order of reactivity of aldehydes is more than the order of reactivity of ketones. Now, with respect to steric hindrance, if you compare, aldehydes contains only one alkyl group, whereas the carbonyl carbon of ketone is bonded with the two alkyl groups. That means the bulkiness around the carbonyl carbon is more in ketones. Means steric hindrance is more in ketones. Since steric hindrance is more, the nucleophile cannot attack this carbonyl carbon easily. That is, the reactivity of carbonyl carbon is less than compared to aldehydes. So with respect to both inductive effect and steric hindrance, the reactivity of aldehydes is more than reactivity of ketones. Okay, and some examples are there. In tomorrow class we will continue that. Thank you.